Imagine giving everything you have to someone you once trusted, only to have them rewrite history on camera, claiming you were the greedy one, the difficult one, the problem. Now, what if the truth was hidden in plain sight, and every dollar you gave was used to build someone else's dream house, and for years you stayed silent, protecting them, until finally the moment came to speak and reveal everything? Would you stay quiet, or would you finally tell the world what really happened? What happens when someone looks straight into a camera and calmly tells a story that sounds believable, but quietly hides the truth? And what happens when that story begins to fall apart piece by piece while millions are watching? Because during the Sister Wives tell-all, something happened that made viewers sit forward instead of leaning back. Because the moment Cody said Mary wanted all the money, everything changed. Not because of what he said, but because of what the facts later revealed. And from that second forward, the entire conversation stopped being about property and became about trust. Because Mary was not asking for something new, she was reacting to something old, something buried, something she had kept silent about for years. And silence has a cost, especially when someone else uses it to rewrite your history. And that is exactly what unfolded. Because long before Flagstaff, long before Coyote Pass, long before the tension and the distance, there was Las Vegas. 4 houses, 1 family, and a belief that everything was shared equally. At least that was the promise. And Mary's house was different because her name and Cody's name were both on it. Because at that time, they were still legally married. And while the family spoke about unity, behind the scenes, Mary was paying the mortgage. Month after month, she paid the insurance, she maintained the home, she lived there alone when Leon left. And while the others had full households, hers was quiet and empty. Yet she kept paying because that was her responsibility. And then came the move, when Cody announced a new beginning, a new vision, a new dream in Flagstaff, and the Vegas homes were sold. And this is where the story quietly turns, because by that time, Mary and Cody were legally divorced, on paper only so that he could marry Robyn, but spiritually they were still supposed to be family, still supposed to be united, still supposed to help each other. And the divorce decree stated clearly that the Vegas house would be split 50-50 if it was sold. And Mary never challenged that, not once, not even though she could have, because she paid for that home alone for years. Yet, when the house sold, she did something no one talks about enough. She did not take her half. She did not argue, she did not hesitate. She placed every dollar into Cody's account, believing she was helping the family, believing she was contributing to something bigger, believing the money would return one day, because that was how plural marriage was explained to her. And the money did not disappear. It went directly into purchasing Robyns Flagstaff home, a house large enough for her children, a place meant to be temporary until Coyote Pass was ready. And Mary believed it was a loan, not a gift, because no one ever told her otherwise. And time passed, and that house increased in value dramatically, and it was sold and upgraded into an even larger property, while Mary waited quietly, believing eventually the conversation would happen, believing accountability would come later. And then years passed, and later never arrived. When Coyote Pass finally became the center of conflict, the truth tried to surface, and instead of addressing it directly, Cody shifted the narrative. Because when asked why things were delayed, he said Mary wanted all the Vegas money. And that single sentence created confusion, anger, and doubt, because it suggested greed where there had been sacrifice, and it suggested entitlement where there had been silence. And when Mary heard that, her expression said everything, because she had never once demanded all the money. She had never even demanded her half. She had given everything, and now she was being described as difficult. And suddenly the audience began to see the cracks, because if Mary wanted all the money, how did she end up with none? And if the divorce decree was 50-50, why did Cody receive 100%? And if this was a misunderstanding, why did the details never line up? And that question hung in the air, creating a loop that viewers could not escape, because every answer only raised another question, and every explanation led back to the same place. Where did the money really go? As the tell-all continued, the situation grew heavier because once one version cracks, everything around it starts to wobble. And when Robyn joined the conversation, she repeated claims that only deepened the confusion, suggesting that Mary believed she was owed all the money and that Cody had covered expenses for her house. But Mary calmly corrected it, saying the insurance was bundled into the mortgage and she paid it herself. And the contrast between statements became impossible to ignore, because two realities cannot exist at the same time. And viewers began connecting dots, not from emotion, but from logic. Because if Mary had truly wanted everything, she would have taken it when she had the legal right to do so. Yet, she did the opposite. And what made the situation more intense was the introduction of the non-disclosure agreement, because suddenly finances were not just complicated, they were being hidden. And the question shifted from why are they arguing to why does someone want silence so badly? And when Janelle revealed that the sale had stalled due to NDA demands, viewers understood something important, that this was not about peace, it was about control. Because an NDA does not protect harmony, it protects narratives. And Mary later confirmed something powerful when she said this was something she had agreed never to talk about, meaning silence was not accidental, it was requested and honored until it was used against her. Because once Cody publicly claimed she was greedy, that silence became a weapon turned on her reputation. And that was the moment she stopped protecting a story that no longer protected her. And when she explained that the Vegas money was a loan, not a gift, the entire framing changed. Because words matter. Gift means no return, loan means obligation. And Cody repeatedly used the word gift while Mary used loan. And that difference explains everything. Because if it was a gift, then no one owes anything. But if it was a loan, then years of avoidance suddenly look very different. And when Cody admitted on camera that he considered selling Coyote Pass without telling Mary and joked that he would send her the money 2 to 3 weeks from never. Something inside the audience shifted because that statement revealed more than anger. It revealed intent. And when someone jokes about never paying someone back, it stops being misunderstanding and becomes mistrust. And that is why Mary refused to sign until debts were acknowledged, because once property is sold, leverage disappears. And Mary knew that. And that is not being difficult, that is being careful, especially when the same person has already shown comfort delaying accountability. And the pattern becomes visible because every time one of the wives asks for fairness, the story changes. Christine was accused of emotional betrayal, Janelle of manipulation, Mary of greed. Yet each accusation collapses when facts appear because Christine left after years of neglect, Janelle left after financial instability, and Mary stayed silent longer than anyone and still became the villain. And the reason this story keeps viewers watching is because it reflects something real, something familiar. The moment when someone rewrites your contribution once they no longer need you. And the longer Mary stayed quiet, the easier it became to reshape her image. And when she finally spoke, the shock was not what she said, but how long she had protected others at her own expense. And viewers understood something deeply unsettling, that silence does not guarantee respect, and loyalty does not guarantee fairness. And when money and power mix, the truth often becomes inconvenient. And that is why this moment matters, because it was not about houses or land or numbers. It was about dignity. And when Mary finally chose to speak, she did not attack, she did not insult, she simply told the sequence. And once the sequence was visible, the story told itself. And that is why viewers could not look away, because every revelation felt like a missing puzzle piece clicking into place. And once clicked, it could not be unseen. In the end, the truth cannot be hidden forever. Mary stayed silent for years, protecting others while her own story was twisted. But once she spoke, the full picture came into focus, showing sacrifice, patience, and the courage to demand accountability. And now viewers see not greed or conflict, but a story of fairness finally revealed, proving that silence may protect others, but truth always finds its way. And when it does, it changes everything.